So I'll just go on with saying that I'll read the questions that were asked. Bobby, this question probably goes to you. Do you apply the tack over the VRAM applied areas or avoid the overlap?
So the tack was applied over it. I'm not sure what
Have-
was done in Pennsylvania, but that was for the trial project that we did. The tack was applied over top of the VRAM application.
Yeah, Marcy, would you like to comment? I think you showed that it was down as well, wasn't it?
Yes, we applied the tack over the VRAM materials placed down. The first side of the pavement was placed, and then there was tack placed on the vertical joint in the one area and also on the pavement area beside it. There is a little diagram in our guidelines showing this too. And this is a question that's come up by numerous contractors on the tack end where the J-band treatment will go. So I've kind of worked up a schematic to show people. I didn't put it in the presentation, but there is one that will be in our guidelines.
Bobby, I think this next one's for you as well. Have you tried using the notch wedge roller to compact the wedge?
Joe, I haven't seen anything in terms of that. Typically, we leave the notch there uncompacted, and then once the second pass is done, then the compaction over top of that. So we haven't seen that, and certainly it wasn't done with the VRAM trial project.
The next question here, Marcy, I believe is for you. Does PennDOT offer a bonus, which I think you showed an incentive, disincentive, for superior joint compaction?
Yes, if you look at our section 405, that is our joint density, and it's a payment or incentive, disincentive based on their percent within the PWT will determine if there is an additional payment, zero, or a disincentive.
Marcy, there's a couple more here for you. Does PennDOT allow use of infrared joint heater to heat the cold side of longitudinal joints?
I don't know that.
Okay, so that might be one we would have to do a little research and get back to.
Yeah, I don't know if we have or not.
Marcy, what is the recommended width and application rate for the J-band? Also, what is the typical cost? I think you said 18-inch width, but
in our field sites, we did an 18-inch width. There, I noticed that Massachusetts did a 19-inch, but we're just doing 18 inches in our table. With the regular pavements and the SMA, we're doing an 18-inch width. We figured for most of our depths, that works out that you have like 9 inches and 9 inches for each side. And what was the second part of that?
There was actually 3 parts. So the second part was the application rate.
Okay, the application rate. We have a table, and determining if we're like from a 3/4 inch overlay to a 4-inch overlay, the rate will go up from 0.88 to 3.1, and that's pounds per feet. So you have to put in whatever your overlay thickness is to determine what the application rate is. And this was all developed from the state of Illinois. We're using their information for now.
And then the third part was, what is the typical cost?
Our costs have been $250 to $350 per lineal foot. So it's a little high, but it's experimental, and that's usually experimental things are more expensive in the beginning.
Here's another one, Marcy. What density did they achieve at the longitudinal joint on the pilot project?
I would have to go back through the records for the answers.
Well, have you ever used the PaveScan dielectric profiling system to continuously map joint compaction with the ground penetrating radar GPR technology?
Not on this pilot project. That was done, I think, by the department, but it was years ago when it first came out, and I would have to look to see who did that.
Next one is, ever thought to try application in between wedge joints? Would material travel both up and down? Just wondering.
Yes, we had thought about that because of the heat. It should travel more, the wicking should be more towards the heat, but if we get it going both directions, it still would be beneficial because it's filling the air voids in the system. I believe if you looked at Bobby's one core, it showed where they had it. It looked more like it was both directions also. He can correct me on that.
Yes, so just on that, we did one, that was one of our applications in the wedge. And we did get wicking both up and down in that application.
Next one, is there a schedule for developing the PennDOT usage guidelines?
Yes, our work plan initially had us being done by the fall of 2021. So at this point, I am still on track. I need to get it into the system. I need to do some more finalization with the people that were on the projects and the people helping me internally with this. But once we get it in the CT process, I'm hoping that we can get something done by next fall. If not, it would be early 2022. I mean, it would be nice to actually see more projects put down, but I mean, as long as we get the first round out there, and like I said, we do have it in pilot, set up to be in 2 pilot projects, what I'm going to initially send out on our clearance transmittals, in which case there might be 2 things out there, but it'll be like a district special. The people will have to do what we have in the work plan, and we'll work on getting like a final standard special provision. So like I said, I'm on track at the moment. Hopefully something by fall of 2021 at the earliest, latest spring 2022.
This one is, what is the minimum depth of AC for a notch?
What do they mean by that?
I think they mean a notched wedge joint is what's the minimum depth of AC, maybe the application
like how
thickness.
thick? Okay.
That's what I would take it as.
It just needs
Okay,
to be
maybe-
covered. It just like your vertical joint just needs to be covered, just like you would do along your curbing, if that's what they're talking about, to make sure that we
Well,
have a.
I think what they're asking is what's the minimum lift thickness if you put in a notch wedge joint?
Oh,
Depending on the specification, there's different wedge joints out there. Typically, you're going to
Yeah.
want to have at least a 1/2-inch notch. And if you think of why the wedge joint was developed, it had to do with leaving the lane open to traffic so that cars and motorcycles could transition from one lane to the other. And I think the national spec might be 1.5 inches. If you go
Okay.
above that, you have to either do a wedge joint, but you can do a butt joint at 1.5 or less. I would say probably, depending on the material used, you're going to want to be, if you get down to 1 inch, that's probably too thin to try to do a notched wedge.
Well, actually, if you look in our spec, if that's what they're asking, the notched wedge joint shall consist of a 1 to 1.5 inch vertical notch at the lane line at a 9 to 12 inch wide uniform taper, is what we have spec'd. I thought they were talking about like if you put AC material over it, they wanted the thickness of that. But if that's what they're asking, we spec'd it from 1 to 1.5 inches for vertical.
Marcy, the next
Oh no.
question here is, has this been tried over reflective cracks and joints from underlying concrete pavements as a reflection preventive?
Not the J-band material, that I do not know if they've used it in other locations. For us, the 2 locations we put down are on a binder material. We have the one field site that has 3 locations up near Scranton may potentially have a concrete underneath. I would have to go back and look for sure, but I believe the one, because we looked at multiple locations up there, and the final 2 that we selected based on cost, the one might have concrete, but we haven't been able to put that down yet.
Marcy, do you apply Tack Coat over the VRAM product before laying down the asphalt layer? And then are there any issues with bonding?
The Tack Coat, where it was applied was when the VRAM was underneath, and the next surface they were putting it, they had it on that vertical area before they placed the second lift, the adjacent lane.
Was there any bonding issue?
But they didn't put it over top of the VRAM material. It was on, theoretically, yes, it's above the VRAM material, but the wedge is in between where the VRAM, your wedge, then your tack, and your second adjacent layer. Does that make sense? It's kind of like a sandwich. The wedge was in between the VRAM and the tack.
For J-band, does it tend to be a straight lining joint application, or is it feasible and cost effective at intersections as well?
Okay, we haven't tried an intersection yet. We were mainly looking at our longitudinal joints on the primary, like the interstates and the primary roads. Again, the 2 of the additional field sites that had the smaller ADTs will be traffic going, opposite directions. So we will have adjacent roads coming in, not like the locations we had, we were before a ramp or after a ramp. We weren't at the ramp locations. I think that will be something we may have the potential to look at, but we haven't done yet.
How about Bobby? Do you have any anything to add to that?
The one project we had here in Mass was a straight line. The intersections were ones where the road went directly through, so there were T intersections. There was nothing as far as going through. I think that being said, it's following that longitudinal joint, so it's not something that you'd look at a butt joint or anything along those lines. But if the intersection, if the paver is going through the intersection, then there's no reason not to use it underneath there as well. It's still just underneath the longitudinal joint.
We haven't tried transverse joints. I guess maybe that's what the question was leaning towards. Or if you have something that's piecemealed, maybe like.
Maybe if you're paving all four legs of an intersection or something, you have it going both ways.
But
The last
at this
question
point,
here,
we're just trying longitudinal.
the last question for you, Marcy, is does PennDOT still have a joint density spec, or has VRAM replaced that? I believe the answer is yes, we still have it, but it has not replaced it. Is that correct?
Correct. We still have our joint density spec. VRAM has not replaced it, and we're looking at it should just be another tool in our toolbox. It's not going to be a replace the joint density. At least that's not what we're looking at right now.
The one I skipped here, Patty, was will these presentations be made available after the webinar is done or over?
Yes, they will.
On the website?
They will be on the TSP2.org website. Follow the link to pavement preservation and webinars, and they'll be under there in our video library. Usually about 2 weeks, within 2 weeks.
We will thank everyone for your participation. Hopefully you learned something from the session and these presentations or an update. And thank you for attending. Anything?
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.